is such a valuable degree because it opens.
Hey everybody, it's David. Hey, 1 second late. Welcome everybody, David R. Becker here with BeckerArt. And so we're at 2 colors today, 2 colors. I already did the painting this afternoon and we had some fun. I know it's an ugly flower, but I think it should be okay. We're gonna show you a couple of things about it. And here's my new setup. I just had done a video for Watercolor Live for Legion papers right there, the box. And so I had 13 papers in there and I was demonstrating on all of them. And so today's beer, or not, it's a beer, it's a vodka cocktail. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna try some different things this year. This is a vodka cocktail. Oh my gosh, I just looked at it, 9% alcohol. I may not be able to finish this painting, but it tastes good. So vodka cocktail called Monaco, and I'm not sure. We're gonna try some different stuff. We'll see. I definitely probably should have. I'm not sure. So, Monaco, and we're gonna test it and see. And of course, you know I like sweet things, but oh my gosh, that's wonderful. So for a really sweet cocktail, very sweet. My gosh, it's like black raspberry. It's really sweet. It needs ice, I think. I would put ice in this, definitely put ice in this. And I would give this a, this is really good, but I like really sweet stuff. So I'm gonna give it a 10. So cheers, everybody, cheers. We'll put that aside and let's keep on going here. And so by the way, these are all the paintings that we did. A lot of them we did last year, that I did last year. And so I just put them up there and we're gonna keep on switching over and stuff and see how that goes. So for my website, for anybody that's new here, what's going on here? What is that? All right, so everything's changing here. All my things are different. Oh, hey Amy, hey Sue, Linda, Cheryl, Tammy. Thanks. Bisbee, Arizona. Oh, cool. It's probably nice there. Not today. We're gonna have big snowstorms tomorrow here in Illinois. So we're getting all ready. So here's my website, davidrbecker.com or beckerart.net. Get all my information for everything right on here. And some people were asking me about my workshops, and you know, right down here is a list of all my workshops. You can see right here, these are a list of my workshops. You press on them, and the one that I have that's down in, then you just press on here, and it'll take you to the page and stuff. And also, if you ever want to get my right up here is it says more. That's where you can get my list of supplies and the supplies I usually are using. So supply list is right up here. So just to let you know. And so let's go on to our supplies, which is this page. And of course, yes, I use my Holbein watercolors. I'm not using any Mascoid today, but I'm going to show you how to use white paint. You could use Mascoid too. And so that's all the supplies. And then value study. Okay. So I'm really into this thumbnail sketch. I know I'm driving you all crazy with thumbnail sketches, but it's so important. It really teaches you how to do them. And so you can see right here, I have my sketchbook, my little sketchbook. I already put a little square, like a rectangle. Not a square, it's not a square, it's a rectangle. But I wanted to get a little bit of a look of what I'm gonna do. And really, I want you to do this. It's not so much that you have to make it look good here in your head. It's got to click in what you're going to be painting and how you're painting it. Hey, Sylvia. And so what are we doing here is we're doing a sun in the middle here. And the sun is the whitest thing and the lightest thing. And we're trying to determine what's going to be light and what's going to be dark. And in the big, broad sense. So all these little lines you see on the image. And so when you look at this and you see all these little white lines along the edge and all this, and around the B is white, and this is dark, these little hills or mountains back here, you know, those are little pieces of the big picture. And so if I would do this just like this with all these darks, because right now these middle tones are all dark, then we'd have the only light that we'd have is these little things. And so that's just a little thing. And so that doesn't make for a good big area of lights and darks. And so on this piece, what I would do is I'm going to just figure out that my sun's there. Then I'm going to do this little plant. And this is supposed to be really quick. It's not about doing anything really, detailed. It's about, okay, then if my sun's here, my lightest light is going to be right there. This mountain, I'm going to keep light. It could be a different color. I don't want to make it dark because there's so many darks and the whole bottom would be dark. And then the only thing you have is the little lights around them, which is okay. It's okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to figure out that my plant right here is the dark. And so let's run ourselves through it. So I'm going to do a wash across. That's going to be really light through everything because the background's going to be light. And from a light to a dark. So as I'm going down here, it gets dark, right? And so I'm going to do a gradation from light to dark. And then the plant itself is a really kind of ugly plant. I know everybody in my class was saying, wow, that's a really ugly plant. And I don't even know what kind of plant it is. So I'm going to show you how to change it a little bit when I go to paint it this time. I'll make it more buds, of kind of a bud thing. So, and so this is going to be dark, that plant, and it's going to have the stem and all that. But it doesn't matter how you draw it. It's about the big picture. Okay, there's a bee here that's really dark. And basically this part is dark. And it kind of goes down to a dark. So basically, background light, this plant is dark against maybe when it comes down here, it kind of switches off so that down here we have a little bit of the light shining through there. But overall, that doesn't really matter. This little bit of light that's going to be around the edge, that won't matter so much because it's just going to be a small part of the composition that's big. So, and sooner or later, I'm going to talk to you about how color is also a way to, when we get to like full color, and we're going to go back after we get down with 3 color and full color, we're going to go and talk about how to do a pattern, but also just with color. And so that the values are not as important as some of the color, because you can use that too. But not right now. Right now we're just using 2 colors, two colors. And this is going to be my value. This is my thumbnail sketch. This is my darks. I go from light to dark in the background. My plant is the, and the B basically is the center of interest. This is the center of interest right here on the edge right there. So that's basically it. So it's simple, keep it simple. And it makes it so much easier to realize how to paint it because I already painted it. Light to dark, dark, and then the B dark, and then the white around that to make it look like it's backlit. And it's also silhouetted shape, and it's also got a rim lighting on it. So that's it. So that's just so that you understand the big picture. It's, people get into these value studies and they're way too complicated. I want to make it simple for you. Make a thumbnail, a very small thumbnail. Just get it in there. Picture how you're going to paint through. It's kind of your roadmap of how to paint the painting, basically. And if I want to put like a light here, but with the little mountains there, I can, but it still has to be in the light area. That's the light area. That's the middle tone. Because if I make this really dark over here, then it's all dark. And then all you have is a little bit of light, which, actually that could work too. It's okay maybe just to do a little bit of light in here and make that light, and then everything else dark. But I already did this afternoon and I kind of liked what I did, so I'm going to try it again. All right? If you want to make a different value study or a different thumbnail and it makes it better for you, you want to lay it out a little bit differently, that's up to you, but make the big picture. So important, do your thumbnails. I really want you to do your thumbnails. Can you tell? I really want you to do your thumbnails. All right, so here we go. We're going to go into our, I'll show you what I did this afternoon. So I used Brilliant Orange and Permanent Violet, which I'm not going to use this time. This time what I'm going to use is, and you can see most of this is dark. When I make those black and white thumbnail sketches, it's not that I'm going to be using black for my darks. It's just people think it's like, well, I got to get it as dark as my thumbnail. No, that's not anything to do with it. That's just to know that this part of the scene, that's going to be darker than the rest of the back. And so this, I rubbed that out a little bit. We also got optical scatter here so that the color, and it's not so good to do optical scatter in a picture like this only because it's kind of hard when you're only using 2 colors, because you have to use a color that's the background by the sun, and then you go down to the other colors that the plant is. And now this plant is a really ugly plant. I know it's a really ugly plant. Yes, I know that. Everybody in class is like, why did you pick this picture? And so make it up. It's just, it's a wild, I'm even not sure what kind of plant it is, and we couldn't figure it out either. But hey Tina, hey Dave, hey Evie. So here, so we're gonna try it this time, but this time what I'm gonna do is I drew it up more like these are little buds. you know, I'm not sure that this is my own made up plant. This is the David plant. I don't know what it is. I'm just making it up. I had a few more extra little things to make it look more interesting. I know, yes, I know it's an ugly plant, but let's just go beyond that and just think that it's about to be anyways. And I'm going to rub that parts out. I could make it a little bit darker than I did here, because here he doesn't stand out as much as I like. So maybe I could make it a little bit darker there, you know, make my middle tone a little bit darker. But I still want to follow my value study, my thumbnail sketch. So just remember that. All right. So cheers again, guys. This is really good. 9% though. I mean, it'd be sleeping here, so somebody wake me up. Black raspberry vodka cocktail. Oh, interesting. It does need ice. I think it needs ice to tone it down a little bit. Okay, so what do? What's the first thing I do? It's my lights, right? In my thumbnail, it told me how to do it, how to paint it. I have to work from light to dark. And so let me get my painting out of here so it doesn't... And I will be getting some of these circles of confusion in there. I'll get some of those in there this time, like I did here. See, I did this. These, I didn't have a stencil with me, so I painted them in with white paint. And so those, you know, it's up to you if you want to put those in. So let's go in. Oh, what am I using this time? I'm using Opera, the pink, and I'm using quinacridone gold. And so why am I using those colors? Because there's no dark in them. But like I always said, you can use black. So to get a dark color, if I mix black with the red, it'll get kind of purpley. And if I mix it with the quinacridone gold, it's going to be kind of brownish, you know. So I'm not using a dark color. I'm using a black to put in my light colors because I want a little bit more value. I want this down here to be very dark, like almost as dark, not as dark as I had my value study or my thumbnail, but pretty dark. All right, so let's just wet the whole thing again. I'm just going to wet it all. All right. I'm still working to the day that I'm going to be working on panels. This is still not a panel. This is 300-pound Stonehenge, and so don't have to. Oh yeah, okay. So I made this part wet. I'm getting reflections. Where the? I've got to turn certain lights off. Hold on 1 second. I just noticed I have one light on. Sorry about that. That gets rid of those lights that are only on top. And so we are going to take my quinacridone gold, make it kind of a yellowish, like sky, almost like it is. I'm going to go in here, make it kind of yellowish with quinacridone gold. I'm going to go around my sun and just take it a little bit thicker. Go around my sun. Hopefully, I may have to rub it out again. And I may add a little bit of the Opera into that. It'll make it kind of orangey as I go downwards. You use whatever color you want. Any two, and you can use black and white. Like I said, you can use black and white too. That's, to me, not really a color. It's a value of the color. It does dull it a little bit when you go putting in black, and which is kind of a good thing sometimes if it's so vibrant a color that you're using. You could mask the sun out. It's up to you. I like a softer edge, so I don't like to go so much with masking fluid for it would give me a really hard edge, and I don't really want a really hard edge. I'm going to take a little bit of the pink now, put it down here. This is Opera. But mix Opera with this quinacridone gold, and you get this beautiful kind of goldish, red, salmon-y color, which I really like. I think it's a pretty nice color. And this is pretty bright up there, and there's my sun. And like if I lose a little bit of the edges, that's okay. I can go back in there later and rub it, or it can just look more misty. Like it doesn't have to be so perfectly round shape. And Opera is a very, see, I could use a little bit thicker paint to make it stop right here. So I'm just going to go in here, make it a little bit thicker. Almost pure pigment. Look at that. Hardly I have a new towel on my paper here today, so. If anybody's new here, I always put a towel down underneath all my work because it's so much easier than holding on to a piece of paper towel. I just put it down everywhere around my whole thing is a towel, and so I just rub down on my towel. It's one of those things I can't believe I didn't do a long time ago. All right, and so that's the top part. That's the sun. Now, as we're going down, we're going to get darker and darker, right? We said we're going to get darker and darker. Now, if I wanted to keep the light here by the B, and if I would have had it a little bit darker there, or if I wanted to do the edging rim lighting with masking fluid, you could do that too, and keep some parts light, because it is shining, it's like reflected light, and that's okay. You can do that. I don't mind that. I'm going to get thicker paint now because I have to get it a little darker as I go down. And I don't want to make it too dark by the flower because I do want, well, yes I do. I'm just going to have to rub some of that out later. But I'm going to use black now to darken my color because I need some darker color for this. So see how the black kind of dulls it? And I'm going to take a lot of paint here and it's going to make it kind of brownish. And so I'm just going to wet this area down here. So see how it makes my pink look not so vibrant pink, because this is opera, and you know opera how pink it is. But if I add black to it, it dulls it, and so that's kind of a good thing. I'm just going to take the opera and go right on here. Let's go in there. Just take opera pure. Hey Liz, hey Marcia. Oh, it's a milkweed? Okay, thanks for letting us know that. I had no idea what kind of plant this was, so it's a milkweed. We couldn't kind of figure it out. We didn't know. So I'm going in here, and if you want it smoother, you know, more water, let it smooth out itself. Look at this kind of like, I got those little fingers in there. Isn't that kind of cool? Wow, I didn't believe that. Now I can take, if I take my brush and clean it, and I can wipe a little bit of it out because I'm getting some of the yellow coming into this area. So what I can do is I can just pull this out a little bit. You know, make it pull out some of the yellow. And it's absorbing. I'm taking a thirsty brush that's, you know, put it on my towel, wipe it off, and then just pull some of this color out of the sun because I want to have that to be bright. So there we have the brightness. If you feel like you need a lighter here, I can just pull things out, maybe a little bit lighter here. But most of this plant is going to be dark, really dark. And so I'm just working on the lights to middle tones, and I might actually do that in one wash. And again, these are just two colors. That's just two colors. That's just quinacridone gold and opera with black. And black, you know, is just makes it another color. Well, it doesn't make it another color. It just darkens it. So that's why I let you use it. Down here. And I was thinking if I should try some of the, you know, should I do some of these round circles with spattering? You know, it's up to you. And also, how about these mountains back there? Do I put them in now with some of this, you know, with quinacridone gold? Let's see what happens. Let's just put a little of that in there. Now this is starting to dry a little bit, so my brush. See, one thing about quinacridone gold, the pigment is so thin that it doesn't feel like other pigments. The quinacridone gold. So I'm just gonna kind of put that in there, make it a little mountainy kind of thing, and it's gonna soften up because this is still wet up there. So, and I know there's a light around the B, but that's okay. I'm gonna wipe that out there. I'll show you how to do that later. Wipe it out. Now in the colored version, there's a strip of cool color through here. Well, I don't only have two colors, so I don't even have a cool color. So I got to keep that just warm. You know, I can put more black down here. I can make my red a little bit darker doing that down here. And what kind of wash are you going to use? Are you going to use you want to throw salt out here? I'm so happy with what you guys did last week with the horse. And some of you, do you wash the towel? It's super clean after last week's color. Yeah, I have about 10 towels, and I throw them in a bucket with bleach, and then I wash them in regular washing machine on hot. And so, yeah, they come out pretty good. They come out really good. They're all white. I buy only white towels from Goodwill. And so now I'm taking black and just gonna, what kind of wash do you want here? Do you want, maybe put salt in there? Like I said, I liked what you did, guys, what you did with your washes, your light washes last week when you first started. And so it just has to be any kind of wash, as long as it's light. And this one now is light to dark. So any kind of light to dark wash. Do you throw salt in there? Do you, spatter it? Do you go like this and put little droplets in there? It's up to you how you do your wash, because that's the part that's creative to you. Do the way you want, as long as you keep those values. And that's how come you do the thumbnail. So you know that right now, this is my light. I'm going down to my dark. And look at these little things I got. That's really, to watercolor, that's a technique in watercolor. Use whatever technique you want when it comes to that area, because I just know that it's light to dark. And anything else I do here is just your own personal thing. Hey, Rita Sue, Liz. So look at the little spattering I did. Isn't that cool? I love that. I'm going to do some more now. Because it makes it look more watercolor-like, and I love that. And as long as you know that that area has to be, it's already the color it has to be, the value it has to be, then you're fine. And it also gives me a time to just sit there and wait for this part to dry, because that's the next thing is going back in there. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, I spattered up there, but nothing I can do about that. There's going to have to be birds, little birds up there. You can, depending on if it is, I'm wiping my brush, I could, sometimes you can just wipe it off a little bit, but no, not really. Oh boy, what did I do? Oh well. Anyways, so that's my first wash. That's my light to medium wash, and some darks down there. I got a few darks down there. And I kind of like what I did here with this little spatter. I like making things a little bit messier, and it doesn't matter what that is. As long as I got the right values, you're good. And it shows some more color too, because I took pure opera, and pure opera by itself, oh, it's really very bright. And so get some of that in here too. So while this is still wet, I can take like pure opera here, and I'm going to do the outer edge of some of these buds. I made them buds instead of like these little petals of the milkweed. I know they're very violety, and so I'm just going to do like the back of them. And so I'm just going to, since it's wet, I'm just going to kind of go in here and get some of these are the lighter ones. This is the light. This will be the light parts, and there'll be dark on top of that. And yes, it is still wet, so I'm going to get a soft edge, but that's okay. I'll be fine. I'm using it pretty thick, so I don't have to worry so much about it being running too far. Even though it's wet, it's fine. And you can tell I didn't draw like the picture, because the picture looks kind of like a lot of people were telling me it looks really ugly. And so I'm just going to make it buds like some other kind of weed. This is the David weed. I don't know. I'm just making it up. And making pink buds, and I'll go in there with just a light color first, the medium. This is the large medium. It's like I'm in step 2. Large mediums, large darks. And this is large. Even though I'm doing individual, I'm putting it all together. Taking my opera. Gonna leave some of it you can see through. And then I add a little bit of quinacridone gold to it too. That'll make it kind of brownish. And it comes all the way out here. Now down here, that's leaves. That's like the greenery of the plant. And so I'm going to keep the color up here. Down here, I'm going to make it a little bit more with the black and the opera, which will give me more of a, let's see what it gives me. It gives me more like a purpley color. And so I can go down here and put some of that in there dark. And you notice on my picture right here, the picture right there, look at the left side right here. That's really dark. And so I'm going to take some black and some of the red. I'm just going to put some of the harsh edges on that. And while it's wet, it'll bleed together and it'll just blend bottom of the... You can also use white if you want, but I don't need to use white yet because it's okay right now. I'm really mad that I went in there when it was damp. And I'm going to have to make a bunch of birds up there. Or maybe those are all really big bees up there. Yeah, it's not fugitive, but, hey, it's mixed with other colors. And so in time, it'll still be fine. It'll still look good. And when I'm passed away and it just didn't have as bright a color red, then I'm fine with that. Because my values will still be the same. The colors will not be bright, but the value will still be there. The values will still stay. Yeah, there's a lot of colors that, you have to watch out for because they're not fugitive. They're, they'll dull in time. But I'm worried about, on this one, I'm worried about the values. So I'm just good. That'll always stay. I think the values will stay. So here we're getting, this little plant is a little bit interesting, a little bit more interesting than what I did this afternoon. The afternoon one is kind of like, what kind of plant is that? This looks more like flower-like. And so while that's, I think the top part now is dry. So I'm going to take my small brush. And so now when you call it optical scatter, so what is optical scatter? When you look through a forest and you see the tree and you see the sun behind the trees and then you almost can't see. And when you take a picture, it's blurred out. Like you don't even see the branches that are in front of the sun because it's so bright that it burns away the branch. And then real close to that is always really red and yellow and reds and oranges that are right close to this. Now this one, I'm going to use the yellow, and that way it looks like it's burned because this is a dark. This is just as dark as this down here, right? This is a really dark stem. The stem goes up here and has these little buds on it. Well, that is the same color as this down here, but because it's in front of the sun, it's got optical scatter happening to it. And so what that is that it burns it away, and all you see is a really, really bright color, a warm color usually because it's right by the sun. Not always bright though, not always warm, because I've seen optical scatter where it's in the middle of the day and the sun is so bright that it blurs away, and so it keeps it lighter. And it just makes it lighter. Usually it's lighter than the area than what's next to it. So right here it's dark, but when it gets up here, it's going to be a little light. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pure Quin Gold. I call it Quin Gold. I'll take pure Quin Gold, and I will just go in here with Quin Gold and just start drawing it and make it look like it's very light. And sometimes it even looks like it's burnt out. Like it doesn't even show that because it's so bright that you lose sight of that actual branch, or here the plant. You actually lose sight of it because it's so bright that it becomes really skinny, and that's optical scatter. Now I tried to find a definition, but I learned this through Carl Bretsky from Minnesota, and I took one of his classes, and that's what he calls it, and I call that too because it's really a good name for it. And I'll take a little bit of this pink also. I'll mix a little pink in there, and I'll just make it really bright. And this will be the color close to that. Now, if there was some other thing close by, like if there's a tree right here, it goes from this light color really quickly to the regular color that it is right away. Like up here, I could also do a little bit more yellowish area right here, but as soon as it gets down to here, it's going to go right away to dark, right away to the other color that it actually is. Because this, even if this color was a dark green, which is probably what it was, it's not going to be a dark green there because it's in front of the sun, and the sun is burning away the color and giving you a really warm, bright color. Hope that makes sense. I am painting flat. I'm painting totally flat today. I normally paint flat here and when I'm doing the things, but in the afternoon when I'm painting, I paint upright actually, and I should be painting a little bit of an angle, but here I've been getting so used to just painting straight flat down. Any other questions? Did I miss any? Good evening. Okay. Hey, Arlene, Bobby. All right, so what was I doing? Okay, so I guess do a little bit more of this up here. Get this stuff done. These are going to be done. Then that's just the plant up here. And I'm still going to use white paint. I could have used masking fluid to do a outer rim lighting, but I'm not going to do that because I don't need to do that. With masking fluid, I can do that with white paint. White paint works just as well. And so let's just get a little bit of that in there. So again, this is still my lights and my mediums. And I could burn a little bit more red in there, I think. A little bit more red as it comes down. Or when the edges can be a little bit lighter and then inside. Because again, the edges of something that's in optical scatter is really light and very orange and yellow. And as it goes in, it gets a little bit darker. And then as it goes down here, it gets really dark. Look at all my splattering, how nice it turned out. I think I can do the B right now. So the B will be a little bit of, let's make them, connect them gold, a little bit of black, kind of a brownish. So I'm just going to go in there. And I know it's kind of detailed, but I can't work this area. This is still wet, and so I'm going to wait a little bit. So I want to get hard edges next, and so I want to get large, hard edges, so I have to wait a little bit. So while that's drying, I'm just going to do this little B here. And you notice he doesn't have any wings or anything like that, because I'm going to rub those out later. I'm going to show you how to rub them out. Top of them should be a little bit lighter. Put a little bit of red in the bottom here, just like reflecting off the... I can put the legs on there even later. So now, let's do the leaves. And so I'm going to use my rigger brush because I want long lines. I did have a dagger brush that Holbein makes, and I forgot it in the car. But it's the big dagger. It's like a big long brush on there, and you can just do some really cool leaves. But I'll do that with the rigger brush. So I'm just going to make these leaves. And so what color? I'm just using the Connectum Gold and a little bit of the red. I do want to make it dark, so I'm going to add some black to it. So I want to make it pretty dark. I want to make these parts pretty dark. And since that's the only two colors I have, that's what it's going to be. Here I'll put the stem going down. And now I noticed, like, if you look at my old one here, see how it's lit up? It's rim lighting on there. And that's all done with white paint. And so if you want to do that beforehand, and if you want to use masking fluid, you can do that. That's okay. Masking fluid will give you a hard edge like that too. So either way, it depends on how you want to do it. If you're a purist, you'd probably use masking fluid, because that's more the pure way, so that white paint is not really considered like the pure way of doing watercolor. It's not the traditional way of doing watercolor, but there had been a lot of people that have used white in the masters, but it's just certain people do like doing things a certain way, and that's good. That's all fine. Do whatever you do that makes your painting look good. So I'm going here now and just giving these stems some darks, and then there's some leaves in there. Where's my big picture? I'm gonna see where the leaves are. Take some black here again, and looks like there's like a leaf. Where's the leaf? There's a really cool looking leaves down here, and so this is this one. Is it here? I lost my drawing a little bit, so I can't quite tell where I'm at here. Let's go to this side and just make some up. And I'm doing like a brush stroke leaf, so that I push down on the brush to make it thin to thick to thin, thin, thick, thin by pushing down. It's like a brush stroke kind of technique. And then we can do a bunch of little stems going up here. I'm still going to get darks into the actual stems here. That's all going to still be there. And I'm also going to put white around a lot of this, so it's going to look pretty cool. Doing the biggest parts first. That's what I always try to do, the bigger parts first. Now this has a cool little leaf here. And it kind of comes in and get the thing to look. I'm going to try to make it wet so I can float some other colors in there, some of the red. And again, if I were doing this full color, then yes, you could use the greens and stuff, but I actually kind of like this limited palette paintings that we're doing, like the ones, even the ones last week that we did with one color. You guys did a great job with that. It's just, it looks so nice. It's like, I really like that look of, because when it's one color, then you're really worrying about the values more, and values are important. So they looked great. Did a great job, guys. There's a little red leaf of some type. Yes, it is a smaller brush, but I'm using it pretty big, and I'm kind of just going in there and getting in and getting out. I'm going to do a big leaf here. I can also do more of the background here if I wanted to. I can take pure black. Let's just try it. Let's just take my big round brush. I'm going to take some pure black with a little bit of red. And I'm going to negative paint, maybe negative paint out a couple things here, like a leaf. And I kind of don't like getting rid of that nice spattering I did. So I'm just going to kind of go in here and just get some darks. And just lay the water down. Just let it do its thing. And I'm going to spatter some more. What the heck? It's just a dark area, so it doesn't really matter what's going on in here. It's just a dark. Oh wait, I'm gonna do the I'm doing the optical scatter there. So let's put. Just gonna make it darker so that the optical scatter will sit there. Kind of had to go over my things here. That's okay. Just a nice wet wash, you know. Just I like the messiness that it is right down there. And so this is too light. I want to make it really dark. And so again, just take the dark black and a little bit of opera, put it in there. Now, even though opera, like I said, it will dull, but that black is still going to be dark. Even when it starts in time, if it goes and it's not so vibrant, it's still going to be dark. That's what I find to be what I'm looking for. And I don't want to go over this because I have those nice little dots in there. Make it negative paint a little bit here. Let's spatter. Let's spatter a little bit. Let's spatter some opera. Some pure opera. Little dots. You can actually paint in little things here. And again, I'm going to be doing some optical scatter. I'm going to do some of the circle of confusion circles. And so those will be fun to have come out. All right, so let's go into our flower now. It's still not totally dry. I could force dry really quickly. I will and may do that in a second if it doesn't dry in another time. Your horse legs turn out wonky. All people's horse legs turns out wonky. They were kind of weird. All right, so let's go in here again with some black. So I'm just getting darker and darker. And that's the reason I let you use the black, because if you're using two colors and there are two colors like I'm using, they wouldn't get really dark like this. And I really wanted to get some dark down here. You know, and then we'll put it into the B here a little bit too, because it's going to be important. And also up in here, there's going to be do some negative painting, and get some really dark darks in here, some detail darks. So I'm going to go around some of these stems with a dark detail to negative paint. And like I said, the picture is not very great when it comes to the plant. If you want to find another plant and kind of mix it in with it, that's fine. I don't mind that. It's like I know it's not the best picture. It's not the best looking plant. But I like the whole optical scatter. I like the bee. And I like we're going to be using white to get that rim lighting in there. So had a lot of things I liked. Now my son, I kind of lost my son here because but I do like these little rays in there. Isn't that cool? The little rays. I wish I could have got that up there. I may go back over the sky. I'm going to show you how to go back over the sky because I get a bunch of little things up there that I didn't want. But I'll show you how to get rid of those because you can go over anything always. And so I'll show you how to go over that. So let's go over here. How much time do we have? Oh, we got plenty of time. Just going to do some negative painting. Keep some of the lights in here. Underneath. And again, I made them buds, like these little bunch of shooting buds going outwards. So I'm not sure that's what it is, but I just changed it from this afternoon because I just didn't think it worked as well. Because on this one, I did more big like areas of, I'm not sure what those are. So it all worked. It's just a different kind of look. And I can't do optical scatter yet because this is all really wet down here. So let's go in and start doing our white because that's still dry enough. And so what I'm going to do is to rub out, you can either use a scrubber brush like a acrylic brush, or I just use my 1/4 inch. And what I do is I just rub a little bit. So for the wings on this bee, you know, if you have it drawn in, you just kind of rub down like this. You just put water. And it works really good on this Stonehenge Aqua because it sits more on top. And then get some paper towel, a little bit of paper towel, and then just dab down. And it's going to come up. And you could also use white paint, but I kind of like to take the paint off a little bit first, you know, because then it won't mix in if I do use white paint. Here's his back wing here a little bit. Press down. Then there's a wing in front here. And I'm just wetting it with the brush and I'm tickling it. I'm tickling the paper. Now, there is also, on this bee, there's a line all the way around light, right? It's lit up from the back. It's rim lit all the way around. But I cannot do that with this brush, and I cannot do that. You could probably scrape it out if you spend a real lot of time. I'm just going to wait till it dries. I'm going to put white paint on there, and it's going to look just fine. If you want to find spots also that you want to rub out here, you can do that too. Just rub out and dab. Like if you find spots that you feel like, even the circle, you can take like this. I can actually rub this out like this. If you want to do optical or the circle of confusion circles, you can actually just rub that area. It's wet, and take a round paper towel and go like that. Now it's not going to be perfectly round but then you can use white paint later. What I did before, I took white paint and then just made it nice and even. See, I can just go in there and I just put water and just kind of let it go round and round. That's like a circle of confusion circle. Let's do another one down here. Just taking, and it's really, really wet, but I'm eliminating the paint with a paper towel. I'm eliminating the water, so it's gonna make a round circle, well, kind of a round circle. And then I'm just gonna go in and make it even more with my brush and tickle it, and wipe out your brush with no water, and it'll absorb the water that's going back in there. And just do some circle of confusion, but the rest I will wait until it dries, and then I'll just dip my little brush and I'll show you how to do that. Let me just try to do the top while this is all still wet down here, and I will be taking a hairdryer because it won't dry in time. Up here, I got a bunch of little dots up there, and so how do you fix that? I go back over, and see there's a little area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to real lightly go over top of this, and I'm even going to get my sun back a little bit. So I'm just rubbing over with just clean water. It's going over again, rubbing back and forth. Now, I'm disturbing the wash underneath it, but I want to disturb it because I want to get rid of all these little lines that I had gotten. And I also want to get back my line of my circle of my sun. So I'm going to take the color again. Now it's wet. It's all wet again. So now I can just go like I did the very first wash. So don't be afraid of going back into an area. You can go back in. It'll be just as clean. Well, it'd be best if you don't do this. But if you need to, just make sure you re-wet the whole area again. And make it nice and wet so it floats on its own. It's going to float on its own. And then when you get down to this area, just make a one brush stroke like that, really clean with water, and it won't affect anything really. You go across it really lightly, and just where you want it. Here, I got little dots there. I'm just gonna rub that a little bit, and then just apply more paint into there and get it back. Get back the little mountains I want to get back in there. I can get those back. Now, don't go into my. No, I went right into my bee. So there we go. The bee's still there. He still has this thing. And this time I'm going to leave it alone because that's the way it was. And let me just really quickly, I'm going to dry it with my hair dryer, with my power dryer. It's not too loud, so I'm just going to heat this thing up really quick. Of course, it unplugged. Yeah, circle of confusion circles don't have to be big at all. They can be small. I do like to have them all the same size. It's not always best to have them different sizes, but this afternoon I kind of did them all different sizes and it still didn't look too bad. So I would say, you know, any size you want, really. I just want to make this start really light, really quick. Or this is a power stripper, so don't keep it too close, otherwise it dries it instantly or burns it. But it's a way of getting it really quickly for the video. I can get in there and get out really quickly, and it dries it super fast. Alright, sorry about that. But now I can go in with my white paint, and it's all dry. So what I'm going to do now is do the back lighting, the rim lighting of the sun hitting the back of the flower. And for that I just use pure white. As you can tell, my white is really dirty. So all I do is I go over it like this. I kind of go over, mix all this stuff, and then put it on my towel. But then I take a little sheet of paper towel and I just go in there. I know this is kind of probably wasting a lot of paint, but in my new palette, I'm going to start using two different whites, one for mixing and one for pure. Because I have to start doing that because I waste a lot of paint, I think, a lot of white when I do this. So now I'm going to wet it and get it nice and fluidy. Take my small round, spraying on my old painting here. So I'm taking pure white. And if you want to use like gouache white or pro white or any kind of white that you want, even anything that's opaque, go ahead. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters. It's just, and I'm just going to take, and you want it as white as possible. If you are going to do it, you want it really white. So nice and pure white. Take it right out of the tube if you have to. I'm going to go right through here and just kind of make the sides of it look rimlet. And yes, this is kind of cheating, I guess you could say, but it looks good. And so I say do it. It looks, to me, I think it looks great. It really pops out the, like here, the bee. You can go all the way around the bee. And I'm just going to kind of go in there and draw the bee out. And it doesn't look like it's really lit up now, the edge of the bee. And yes, you can do that with masking fluid. That's fine. Do it with masking fluid if you need to. If you wanted to submit it to like transparent watercolor society, you're going to have to do it with, masking fluid. You cannot do it with white paint. Rub it a little bit. But doesn't that look great? I love that look. It just makes everything look real, and it makes everything look really vibrant. And in here, I'm just going to do a little bit of that. See, I got rid of my little dots in the sky. And it didn't hurt it. Matter of fact, I got my sun a little bit more rounded now too. So don't be afraid of going back into areas that you messed up or that you did something to. You can always go back in. It's not like people say that you can't go back into watercolor. You definitely can. You definitely can go back in. So even down here, I'm going to do a little bit of this, of the edge of the leaves. The stem, you can go all the way down the side of the stem. Any questions? Use masking fluid today is not fun. Yeah, I don't like masking fluid. Thanks, Mary Beth, for asking everybody to press the like button. Thank you so much. I'm using titanium white, Arlene. I always use titanium white. I rarely use Chinese white anymore because it is so... If I'm going to use white, I want it to cover it. And Chinese white is transparent white, so it doesn't really do very much. I guess it could be good when you're using it to where you don't want it to be really, covering too much. Then I could see doing it that way. But when I'm using white, I'm using one to cover up pretty well. I want to cover things up, and I want it to be strong like I'm doing now. I want it to really shine, and so that's how come I use titanium, because it's opaque white. White is the frosting on the cake. Yes. There you go. I would even use it to sign it. Now, let's do this. So that's pretty much what I want to do with the white. That's about it. Doesn't that make it look good, though? I mean, it really brightens it up and really pushes it. And You can overdo it too, you know, watch it. So, okay, now what we want to do is I want to take a circle template. And I just made I just made this one this afternoon. This is actually, you can get, if you ever use Yupo, this is the Yupo, the medium Yupo, and I just cut circles into it. And how do I cut circles, you ask? Well, that's a very interesting question, because one day I found this. It's a compass. And if you look at the tip of this compass, it has, it's not going to go in focus, is it? Okay. So what it is, it's, there's a blade. And so I just go in there and I just cut the circles out with this compass, because one side is a blade and one side is a poker thing. Just put it down onto the thing and just turn it. I have no idea where I got this. And so I'm sure you can get it on Amazon, a compass, a cutting compass you can do. But you can also buy, you know, this is just a circle. This is Yupo paper, plastic paper. You can buy stencil paper at like Michael's and Hobby Lobby. They even sell paper like this for making your own stencils. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it down, and there's different sizes I made, and so I'm going to probably just use one size. I'm going to use this size, and what I use is a magic eraser. I wet it first, but then I rinse it all out completely. I really want it just to be damp. I don't want hardly any water, because what I want to do is just rub it real quickly. Let's see how it just gives it a nice, well, that's almost too bright. And then always wet it, then dry it, because otherwise you get dirt on your paper. And so like I said, I just used, I used Yupo, a sheet of Yupo paper, medium. And I think this is even a translucent one. Yeah, I think this is translucent Yupo, because you can see through it a little bit. And so what do I want to do? I want to do a bunch of here, right? Maybe a couple smaller ones here too. One, two. Circle of confusion circles. They're fun, and it's really kind of neat how they make it look. Look at the painting behind me on this side, the Eiffel Tower. That's the Eiffel Tower one, and that's the one where we did. Look how many things I did over there. So they look good, you know. And you can do some big ones too. And if you don't want them too like, you can go slowly like this. And so if you don't want it really light, it's gonna take it real lightly, rub it. Nope, a little bit more than that, so they can see it. Actually see it. Little lights. Clean my. Let's not do the big one again. Maybe a small one right next to it. I like, somebody used it on the circle on the horse last week. I forgot who it was, but great job on that. I like that a lot. There's a little optical scatter there, and I think here. Where this goes up to you, you know, just testing. If you don't like it, let's say I don't like where I did some, you can always go over it with paint, you know. Again, you can just go over anything. Maybe a small one right there. Am I getting carried away, guys? Okay, let's stop. So that's, you know, circle template. You can make it out of plastic. If you, maybe there's a piece of plastic you have, or it could even be, you know, clear plastic, and then just cut a circle. You can also, you know, do it with an X-Acto knife. Probably not going to get as round as a compass, but, you know, it's all good. You can do it, or take a circle, draw it, and then just cut it with an X-Acto knife too. You can do it that way too. Or just buy one. They sell circle templates all over. And now the last thing I'm going to do is go in here, and I want to put a couple more, I want to put some more dark down here for leaves, or like something, leaves down there. Down here, like a nice leaf that goes over this, over that circle of confusion circle. Any last questions? I don't use either Mars black or ivory black. I had that. If you look online on my YouTube channel, I did a thing with blacks. I remember, I think I was checking them out, the difference of them, and there's hardly, man, I couldn't find much difference. It's really such slight a difference that you really, if you're using it with mixing and stuff, you almost can't tell. I use peach black, by the way. I use peach black. And it's just kind of like a warmer black, but again, it's hard to see that. It really is hard to see the difference of the different blacks. I mean, it's just really dark. I should check it out again just to make sure that, you know, because when I did the video, I didn't find much difference in them. I was just like, man, I can't see that much difference in the things. All right. Anybody see anything else? I think that's about it, guys. So, circle of confusion, optical scatter, 2 colors, wiping out, spattering, soft edges, thumbnail sketch. Most important part. I would like you to do the thumbnail sketch. And any last questions? Painting with white would be easier than masking and leaves more freedom in the painting. Yep, it does, Bobby. Yes, it does. It's actually, that's the reason I do it, basically, is I really use the white because it does give it a neat look, and it's almost like an oil painter putting on the final touches to his. He always starts dark to light. Well, it's kind of like painting in oils because then you can just put that little bit of that light, and it just really makes it pop. So there we have this one, and then the one this afternoon that I did. I've got a bunch of dots on it because I was spattering. So both are just a little bit different. You notice I got a little bit, like this one, I got a little bit more of the mountains in there, which I didn't do in the very first one. But both are just a different kind of thing. You know, I did the optical scatter by painting it in. Here I rubbed it in. So again, there's so many different ways you can do things. And the plan itself, again, is a little bit different. I did on both. I did a little negative painting, but that's pretty much both of them are 2 colors. And so isn't it interesting that you can just use 2 colors and get that much difference in some of the colors, but they hold together well because those are the 2 colors you used. And so when it comes to the color combinations, I actually kind of like this better than the scene itself right here. Where's my finger? Than the scene right here, because I don't think I like the blue and purple in that scene. I'd rather have it more like the colors like that. All right. Arlene asks, why can't you use titanium white for exhibitions? It just depends on what exhibition what competition you're in. Like the Transparent Watercolor Society is a transparent watercolor society, so they don't want any white. But AWS, American Watercolor Society, NWS, National Watercolor Society, they allow white. So it just depends on what society that you enter your work into, and but yeah, it depends on what you're working at. And I just noticed I didn't put the legs and the thing on the B, so let's just really quickly put some legs on him, and then we're done. All right, there's his legs. All right, thanks guys, and have a great. I know it's going to snow here tomorrow, so it's going to be. Try to get out of the. It's supposed to be like 8 inches of snow. So, is mask a latex product? Yes, it is. It's some kind of plastic, the masking fluid, and you can also use. Remember my little thing here, just before we go, because it's still not. It's not 7:30 yet. But one of these things, you can actually put the white in there to draw the lines around this too. And if you want to use that for drawing around, and the way you do it is you just take the white and water it down a real lot, put it in there with your brush, and then just use that. And that's called I forgot what it's called, fine line painting pen. You can find it on my website in my products page. It's a really way to make lines. I will probably sign it like that. You can sign it, you can sign it right down there with white because it's like dark down here on the bottom. So, see you on Sunday. If you watch me on Sunday, every Sunday I do on about 9 o'clock. I do a demo with David on Sunday, and so Sunday demo with David. And so I just usually do something that I'm trying to learn or something that I'm trying to do. So if you're ever around on Sunday morning, give it a shot, take a look, and I never know what I'm going to do. I may even go out and try to paint on the spot sometimes too. So it's just for myself to kind of go and I just put the camera on. And also, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I think I'm 3 people short of 4,000 subscribers. So thank you. And I'm going to see if I can get 3 people in the next couple of days, and I'll have 4,000 subscribers. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.